Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banasari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe, Radha Madhava Radha Madhava, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe, Radha Madhava Radha Madhava, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Gaur Pimanande, Jai Mishupad Paramahamsa, Pri Pradgacharya Stotra Satya, Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Sirabai Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada ki, Nanta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Skandi Biti, Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Sri Prabhupada ki, Namasarya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Samavata Bhakta Vrinda ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jainitai Gaura Pimanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada ki. Om Agyanatmirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Taksuranmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Scha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakan Vitam Scha Hai Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchakalpa Tirubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Nara, Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhaviti Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nisreya Sayalokasya Dhanyam Swasayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Binda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Om Sarabhyaya Namaha Om Sarabhyaya Namaha Om Sarabhyaya Namaha Om Sarabhyaya Namaha Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripat maham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our morning Bhagavatam class. We are continuing and about to getting close to the end of this last chapter of the first canto, chapter 19, entitled The Appearance of Shukadeva Goswami. Yesterday we read a series of verses, and yes, I believe today is 29, 29. Sa Vishnu Rato Pithaya Agataya Tasmai Saparyam Sirasa Jahara Tato Nivritta Hi Abuddha Striyo Arbaka Mahasane Sapo Vivesha Pujitaha Sa Vishnurato Titaya Agataya Tasmai Saparyam Sirasa Jahara Tato Nivritta Yabudha Striyor Vaka Mahasane Sopa Vishesha Pujitaha Sa Vishnurato Titaya Agataya Tasmai Saparyam Sirasa Jahara Tato Nivritta Yabudha Striyor Bhaka Mahasane Sopa Vishesha Pujitaha Sa Vishnu Rato Titaya Agataya Tasmai Saparyam Sirasa Jahara Tato Nivritta Yabudha Striyor Vaka Mahasane Sopa Vishesha Pujitaha Sa Vishnu Rato Titaya Agataya Tasmai Saparyam Sirasa Jahara Tato Nivritta Yabudha Striyor Bhaka Mahasane Sopa Vishesha Pujitaha Sa Vishnurato Titaya Agataya Tasmai Saparyam Sisasa Jahara Tato Nivritta Yabudha Striyor Bhaka Mahasane Sopa Vishesha Pujitaha. The verse is on the board. Everyone should read from the board so that the one who wrote it will be happy. Sa Vishnu Rato Titaya Agataya Tasmai Saparyam Sisara Jahara Tato nivrittaya buddha striyorbakam mahasane sopavishesha pujitaham.
Savishnurato tithaya agataya
Savishnurato
tithaya agataya Tasmai saparyam sirsa jahara
Tasmai saparyam sisasadaharam.
Tato nivritta haya buddhya striyorbhaka
Tato nivrittaya buddha striyorbakam
Mahasane sopavishesha pujita
mahasane sopavishesha pujitaha.
Savishnurato tithaya agataya Tasmai saparyam sira sajahara
Tasmai saparyam sisasajahara.
Donevita hi abudastriyorbakam
Tato nivrittaya buddha striyorbakam
Mahasane sopa vivesa pujita
mahasane sopavishesha pujitaha.
Savishnurato tithaya agataya
Savishnurato titaya agataya
Tasmai saparyam shiraso jahara
Tasmai saparyam sisasajahara.
Tato nivritta yabudastriyorbhaka
Tato nivrittaya buddha striyorbakam
Mahasane sopavivesha pujitaha
mahasane sopavishesha. Last one.
Savishnurato atithaya agataya
Savishnurato titaya agataya
Tasmai saparyam siravishu jahara
Tasmai saparyam sisasajahara.
Tato nivritta hyabudastriyorbaha
Tato nivrittaya buddha striyorbakam
Sanesha pavivesha pujitaha
mahasane sopavishesha pujitaha. And the one who wrote it on the verse on the board. Eh?
Savishnurato tithaya agataya
Savishnurato titaya agataya
Tasmai saparyam shirasa jahara
Tasmai saparyam sisasajahara.
Tato nivritta yabuddha triyorbaka
Tato nivrittaya buddha striyorbaka
Mahasanesu pavivesha pujita
mahasane sopavishesha pujitaha. Sanskrit is a little tongue twister. Saha he Vishnurataha Maharaj Parikshit, who is always protected by Lord Vishnu, Atitaye, to become a guest. Agataya, one who arrived there. Tasmai, unto him. Saparyam, with the whole body. Sirasa, with bowed head. Ajahara, offering obeisances. Tattaha, thereafter. Nivrittaha, ceased. He, certainly. Abuddha, less intelligent. Striyaha, women. Arbakaha, boys. Mahasane, exalted seat. Sa,
Sa.
He. Upavivesha.
Upavivesha.
Sat down.
Sat down.
Pujitaha.
Pujitaha.
Being respected.
Being respected.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Jai.
Maharaj Parikshit, who is also known as Visturata, one who is always protected by Vishnu, bowed his head to receive the chief guest, Shukadeva Goswami. At that time, all the ignorant women and boys ceased following Srila Shukadeva. Receiving respect from all, Shukadeva Goswami took his exalted seat. Kindly repeat after me. Maharaj Parikshit,
Maharaj Parikshit.
who is also known as Vishnurata,
Who is also known as Vishnu.
one who is always protected by Vishnu,
One who is always protected by Vishnu.
bowed his head
Bowed his head
to receive the chief guest,
to receive the chief guest,
Shukadeva Goswami.
Sukadeva Goswami.
At that time,
At that time,
all the ignorant women and boys
all the ignorant women and boys
ceased following Srila Shukadeva.
ceased following Srila Sukadeva.
Receiving respect from all,
Receiving respect from all,
Shukadeva Goswami
Sukadeva Goswami
took his exalted seat.
took his exalted seat.
Report. On Shukadev Goswami's arrival at the meeting, everyone except Srila Vyasadeva, Narada, and a few others stood up. And Maharaj Parikshit, who was glad to receive a great devotee of the Lord, bowed down before him with all the limbs of his body. That means full dandavat. Shukadeva Goswami also exchanged the greetings and reception by embrace, shaking of hands, okay, nodding and bowing down, especially before his father and Narada Muni. Thus he was offered the presidential seat at the meeting. When he was so received by the king and sages, the street boys and less intelligent women who followed him were struck with wonder and fear. My God. So they retired from their frivolous activities, and everything was full of gravity and calm. Translation again. Maharaj Parikshit, who is also known as Vishnurata, one who is always protected by Vishnu, bowed his head to receive the chief guest, Shukadeva Goswami. At that time, all the ignorant women and boys ceased following Srila Shukadeva. Receiving respect from all, Shukadeva Goswami took his exalted seat. Shukadeva Goswami finally arriving and being received. There's a whole etiquette, a whole culture involved in receiving guests. Here, of course, the word Vishnurata. Vishnurata is another name for Maharaj Parikshit, as mentioned here, because the Lord personally protected him when he was in the womb of his mother. The tail end of the battle of Kurukshetra, Ashwatthama, who had released his Brahmastra weapon, thinking he would destroy the entire dynasty of the Pandavas. So the Lord protected him. So Vishnu, uh, yes. So here we see how upon arriving, actually the word, yeah, atitaye, uh, everything is very scientific, as Prabhupada would often point out, especially in terms of Sanskrit. Titi, the word titi we know. Every day we read Vaishnava calendar. What is the titi according to Vaishnava calculation? So normally we do things according to titi, isn't it? We follow Ekadasi because that day, that's the titi, the particular day for following Ekadasi. So one sadhus, they are known as um, atiti. They don't follow. They don't follow means they can appear anywhere, anytime. Uh, just like normally we receive somebody in our home who has an appointment. I've been talking about that actually. But nowadays everyone considers themselves to be a titi. They don't need an appointment. But so sadhus, they are, this is very culture. Sadhu can, that's why the four Kumaras were insulted. You know, they're little boys and they were prevented, you know, the whole story, Vila is there, they were prevented from entering the, I think the last gate in Vaikuntha. There's many, many gates actually. It's like palaces used to be built like this also. The first gate, second gate, third gate, whatever. And they were prevented from entering by Jai and Vijay. And they were not accustomed because innocent small boys, they're also avadut, you know, walking around without any clothes. Uh, so that's the Vedic culture. Sadhus, because by definition and by nature, they are Suridam Sarvadehinam. They are the well-wishers of all living entities. Wherever they go, wherever they travel, and whatever they say is for the good and the welfare. Just like it is in the context of Bengal, it is said that if you see Nityananda Prabhu going in the bar, you should not think that he's going there to drink alcohol. He's going there to preach, right? So Atiti, Shukadev Goswami arrived kind of like on the scene, but as we read in the last few verses, everyone immediately could recognize him. And everyone stood up except a few, those who are his superior. Superior is, yeah, there's a whole exchange. Just like when Krishna would meet the Pandavas, so Krishna would bow his head to Yudhisthira Maharaj because he's the eldest of the Pandavas, and Bhima, but he would he would receive respect from Nakula and Sahadev. And of course, Arjuna was like, yeah, he would embrace Arjuna. So like this, there's a whole natural system in terms of dealings with one another. It's called Vaishnav etiquette. And the other point also is being mentioned here about the ignorant. Well, in the text is translated about ignorant women or less intelligent women and boys who were following Shukadeva Goswami. Um, why is it that they are referred to as being ignorant and less intelligent? They could not understand the exalted position. They just thought, you know, that this was a very unusual person walking around. He must have had matted hair, long hair, like sadhus generally have in the Himalayas and other places, and walking, just wandering like a madman. Actually, was described as avadut, not caring for his. But immediately when they saw that all of the sages, all of the brahmanas, they offered their obeisances to this madman. Wow, they fled away from that uh, scene, and they just um, uh, only at that time could begin to understand that he's not a madman, that he's a very exalted personality. Uh, so it also mentions how not only did uh, those present at that assembly offer their different respects, but Shukadeva Goswami also, he returned, isn't it? Generally, we return respects, uh, acknowledging the presence of both the super soul. We offer respects to one another actually because we recognize the presence of the super soul within all living entities, and of course of especially those who are conscious of the presence of that super soul, means only those who are devotees. So they are also exalted personalities. We don't. Um, well, there is one. I was going to say that we don't offer respects to animals, maybe cows, of course, except cows. Um, but we don't generally offer respects to dogs. But there is one exception. Well, probably more than one. Shivananda Sen, in that whole lila of, because sometimes one devotee keeps sending me a picture of a cow. Uh, the cow always comes when they have some festival. Probably because the cow knows there's prasadam, extra prasadam, but maybe beyond that also. Just like this dog who was following the devotees when devotees would go to Jagannath Puri. Uh, that's nicely described in the. As a matter of fact, we were just reading it yesterday, beginning the first chapter of the Antya-lila. Uh, it gives a brief summary about the devotees going to Jagannath Puri and briefly mentioning about this dog. Mm, Somehow it happens, you know. Some animals, uh, it could be a cat also, it could be any kind of animal. In this particular case, this dog was following, and somehow Shivananda Sen became attached to that dog. And he would feed him. He would make sure that every day he gets food. Prabhupada mentions actually, well, it's there in the Bhagavatam. It's part of the duty and responsibility also of householders to give prasadam. the animals. Vedic culture is there. Actually, they usually keep a little food aside, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
For dogs, crows, and cows.
For dogs, crows, and cows. Okay. Specifics. Um, so what happened is that that dog was following them every day, and then it's nice to be around with devotees because there's always prasadam. um, but one day, Shivananda Sain, who was always making arrangements, actually, he was paying for the toll, crossing the rivers and whatnot. He arrived late. Uh, no, yeah, he arrived late, and he saw that he didn't see the dog, and so he inquired what happened. And because there were not proper arrangements made, the dog had not been fed. The dog left, so he became very upset. Um, well, actually, uh, that's another. Uh, he became very upset, so he sent 20 men. He sent 20 men to look for the dog, and they came back. They couldn't find the dog because he really felt, that devotee thinks like that. This dog is now part of the family. He's like a devotee, become a devotee. So he felt he had offended the dog. So he fasted. From that day, he fasted. They were close to Jagannath Puri. So what happened is that when they arrived in Jagannath Puri, he was amazed, uh, and so were the other devotees. That same dog was in front of Lord Chaitanya, like this, and Lord Chaitanya was throwing food at him, and the dog was taking the food and in his own way chanting Hare Krishna. um, and when Shivananda Sain saw this, phew, he offered his full dandabas to the dog. Amazing, you know. And and that dog, I think the following day, left the body, and it is said that he went back to Vaikuntha. So when we were reading that yesterday, actually, the short introduction to the first chapter of the Antyalila, um, then uh, means we can understand that not only not only those fortunate living entities in human form of life can go back to Vaikuntha, but in very rare and exceptional cases, even in animal body, one can go back to Vaikuntha. So, not sure how we got there with this story, but yeah, how we should be. Viticulture has a whole um, system of offering uh, obeisances, reciprocating, etc., like that. And of course, he is being given uh, a what is called Maha Asana, an exalted seat. Yes, uh, when receiving exalted personalities, we give them a special uh, place for sitting. So, like this, the whole setting is there where um, the beginning, I mean, we're already reading the Bhagavatam, but the beginning of Shukdev Goswami's uh, recitation of the Srimad Bhagavatam will soon be given. Mm. And that's the end of the purport. It mentions how, um, yes, those who were following Shukadeva Goswami, they all left. Um, and everything was full of gravity and calm. Uh, so that's what's taking place. Uh, we can continue to read a little bit here. Unless somebody has some comment there.
How is possible that Shukadeva Goswami, he was alone and so many women and children were
Following.
with him, and he was accepting that.
He was what?
He was accepting.
Accepting.
He was accepting that the women and children were with him.
Accepting.
Yes, he was accepting them. He was not rejecting.
He was ignoring them.
Ignoring.
He acted as if they did not exist. He did not react to whatever they were doing.
And just a few minutes after, he was receiving a very nice welcome from the sages.
Yes.
This
So.
means he was very tolerant.
Oh, well. Because as was described earlier, being of avadut mentality, he didn't care.
He didn't care, yes.
Right. He was what is it? Oblivious to his surrounding and to But yes, I guess you could say someone like that, I mean someone of unusual appearance and who's just wandering around. We see people like that sometimes. People who have, I mean, young boys, they take interest in unusual things, and so it's quite natural that he was totally undisturbed by that.
That also shows Bhagavatam's beautiful poetic and dramatic nature, and not just a simple speech about simple, explaining like in prose of what happens, but also shows the picture behind the scene, because we have to understand Shukadeva Goswami's nature, true nature, to have faith in his words. So this shows this antagonistic picture that he's coming like a naked young boy. People, women are making, jokes, and he just comes undisturbed. And then when he arrives to the sages assemble, everyone start to, behave quite differently. And everyone stands up, except his superiors. So he start to act like in a cultured way. Before that, he was just a young boy. It looks like someone is bullied. But now we understand that he is focusing so much on his own service that he doesn't mind that circumstances, which is doesn't attach his. So he's just coming.
Right.
Whatever could happen, big storm, anything, he would just come. But when immediately his service starts, he acts according to the situation. So we see that we have to build up this faith in our heart to these persons, and that's a dramatic performance helps us a lot, because when we can imagine what kind of person is Shukadeva Goswami, because whole life we have to listen to him. Actually, that's our duty, but they have to then, and Bhagavatam helps us to build this faith.
Yes.
So if we read again this part of the Bhagavatam, the faith will become more and more strong, and then later whatever is in the Bhagavatam, we have we will accept. Like some devotees couldn't accept different parts of Bhagavatam. They have difficulties because of that in their spiritual life.
Mm.
So, but these paths are very strong, and we have to take care of that path. We have to really take seriously that we have a responsibility to use it for building up this proper faith in the Shastra and in the Guru,
Yes.
whoever is there. How he looks like. Different devotees have, looks differently. Some big bellies, some very thin, small person, but the same potency is there. And
So,
devotees have to build up that potential also.
so what you're saying is that part of what you're saying is that the external features are secondary. The external features are secondary, and also interesting point is that naturally Shukadeva Goswami, when he's surrounded by frivolous boys and women, obviously he's not going to start talking to them. There's nothing to talk about because they're they won't even be able to understand what he's going to be talking about, and and therefore, yes, the art of how to reciprocate according to time, place, and circumstance, according to audience. Prabhupada mentions also, isn't it, that various literatures, as we know, there are different scriptures, have been written according to time, place, and circumstance. Prabhupada mentions how, like the Bible, Lord Jesus spoke to a particular audience. He had to instruct them specifically about, not killing and not disrespecting their parents, etc., like that, because people were doing all these things, whereas, mm, whereas major difference that we find in the Vedic literatures, these are eternal literatures that actually apply. Uh, we still need to use the what is it? The time, place, and circumstance factor, but one of the major, and that's important actually for us to understand, one of the major and we could say also exceptional features of the teachings of the Bhagavatam, which is giving us the essence of the Vedic knowledge, is that this is, perfect and eternal knowledge and truth which is being presented, and and we get a glimpse, of course, in how this personality, who, from a material point of view, seems totally, um, unimportant, um, but those who are the sages who are here, um, they see him in a completely different way than the young boys and the women see him, and as described here, just by seeing him, immediately they show their respect by standing up, and some of them, I'm sure, bow down to him, etc., like that. Yeah, yeah.
To add that there were another set of women, young girls, who understood the exalted nature of Sukadeva Goswami. It is described that after Sukadeva Goswami was born, he was a youthful 16-year-old boy and immediately left home.
Correct.
And his father, Vyasadeva, started following him. Why are you going away?
Yes.
And when they were passing, he passed by a lake or a pond in which young girls
Or
were
bathing.
bathing naked.
Yes.
And when they saw Sukadeva coming, he was also naked, but they understood that he is an avdut, so they did not bother to cover themselves.
Yes.
But shortly after that, when Vyasadeva passed, they immediately covered themselves. because Raya Saving in various ashram, he did make the distinction between bodies and women and men, and so he had to follow the etiquette. So
Right.
we
Yeah, yeah.
see that aspect as
Yeah.
well.
Prabhupada in that context, or in relating and commenting on that particular lila, he mentions you can't be a householder if you don't know the difference between male and female.
And also, if you consider that how difficult to get this good fortune, to meet a spiritual masters, to meet a perfect person, but these boys have a chance. These girls have a chance, ladies have a chance, but they missed it. They couldn't really grasp that good fortune, and we devotees maybe also miss it because we say, oh, big gurus come because they have a danda, they are 70, 80 years old, but they don't consider maybe some young person is the
Yeah.
highly elevated conscious person
Yeah.
around us, and we don't mind, and they're just dealing with just normal person. So that was the first question of Arjun in the conversation of Krishna. How can I really see that someone's consciousness in transcendence?
Yes.
That's the first point to learn. Otherwise, our spiritual life is really, difficult to get from the
Yes.
Kalishta level.
Yes. So similar point. It's not based on externals. We should be cautious. Yeah, the consciousness, the level of awareness or consciousness is what is important.
It was Murari or Mukunda was Sri Chaitanya asked who is,
Who's your father?
yeah,
He's your father, or you're the father? Yeah, correct.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Very often, um, children will be teaching to elders, or even um, we can learn from animals also. And the whole Bhagavatam teaches us. Yes. Yes. So that means that, especially in dealing with devotees amongst ourselves, we should be we should be cautious and not just look at externals. Um, and yeah, in different places, Prabhupada makes that point that a sadhu is recognized by his knowledge, by his level of realization, regardless of his ashram, or regardless, I mean, that whole exchange between um, Ramananda Roy and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu demonstrates. And because Ramananda Roy was not even a Brahmana, he was uh, he was a householder, he was in government, dealing with material things, etc. But Lord Chaitanya, to show example, I wanted to hear from him because he was very, very exalted. Actually, that's when it was Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, when Lord Chaitanya had arrived in Jagannath Puri, as we know, and taken darshan of Lord Jagannath. He had fell unconscious, etc. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had brought him, because he was like the Pandit, he was the guru with so many hundreds, if not thousands, of disciples. And anyway, the whole lila about Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, but he finally, after hearing from Lord Chaitanya, um, and after being chastised in a dream by Mother Saraswati, he was chastised because he was very proud of his knowledge, of his learning, and he was defeated by a small boy, not a small boy, but a young man, Lord Chaitanya, who had just taken sannyas. And then at some point, when Lord Chaitanya was about to leave and travel, he told him, I know one person, because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had become a devotee, had because before that he was like a personalist. And so he told Lord Chaitanya, when you go south, there's one person who you have to meet, and that was Ramananda Roy, of course. And that's when Lord Chaitanya, uh, in seeing the hesitation on the part of Ramananda Roy to speak, although he was requested by him, that famous instruction, Kiba, kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi Shudra Keninoy, Jai Krishna Tataveta Se Guru Hoy. So it's a question of, whoever knows the science of Krishna consciousness, then he can become a guru. He can become instructor. Generally, instructor guru. I mean, everyone can. Even the small Saraswati became, yeah. She was telling people, asking, who's Krishna? And if they didn't know, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So she became guru, instructing guru. So that is actually the standing order, which is sometimes misunderstood. It's a whole topic within, within our ISKCON society now. But when that instruction is there to become guru, it means actually everyone. That's also told by Lord Chaitanya in that other famous instruction, Bharat Bhumite Bhala Manusya Janamajara Janma Sartak Kori Kora Para Upakar. So the Para Upakar means the highest welfare activity is to tell people about Krishna, means to become instrumental as instructing Guru. And although one may, I mean, Shastra does also mention there's really not such major difference between Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru, but there are differences also that need to be acknowledged. And therefore, we should especially understand this instruction of becoming Guru, which is the same thing that's also mentioned in, the first verse of Nectar of Instruction, uh, that those who can, what is it? Yeah, those who can actually can control the different Vasuvegam, Manasa, Krodha Vegam, then one can become actually guru or can instruct others. Like that famous story that Prabhupada told, which Prabhupada used to tell so many nice stories. He was telling the story of one mother who was very concerned about her young child, as mothers normally should be. She was concerned because he was addicted to eating sweets. Not the case here, huh? Okay. So she didn't know what to do, but because she was very pious, she said, "Okay, I'll go and see the sadhu, and maybe, my son won't listen to me, but he'll listen to the sadhu." So she went, and then brought her son that and she explained the whole problem. And then after hearing her patiently, then the sadhu said, "You come back in 1 week," right? So she went back and returned after 1 week. And then you want to hear the story? Huh?
I never heard this story.
Yeah, I'm sure you heard the story. You probably want to add to it also. So anyways, she came back and she sat in front of the sadhu, and then the sadhu stood up straight like this, and she asked, and what can you kindly give the instruction or advice? And then the sadhu said to the boy, "Eating sweets is very bad for you. You should immediately stop." And then that was it. And then then the lady, she asked him afterwards, "But I came 1 week ago. Why you didn't tell me that a week back?" And then what was the response?
It was like the lady was saying that if you wanted to just tell this, then why did you not tell 1 week
What's
back?
the response?
And the response was that the Guru said that first I have to apply it and then I will say. So then he for his whole life he stopped eating sweets.
Yes, because he was addicted to taking sweets. He was addicted to taking sweets, so he said, okay. So after 1 week, yes, I cannot advise. We had one minister in Canada many years ago. He was a minister of health. Hare Krishna. Minister of Health. And these were the days where there were a whole big debate about smoking cigarette, how it is bad for you. Because at one point, actually, they were promoting that it's good for you, or at least not having ill effects. And because they were debating about, okay, at least we should put on the package that this is dangerous to the health. Smoking is dangerous. The only problem is that he was addicted to smoking cigarettes, so it didn't have a big effect. So yes, we cannot instruct others if we ourselves are not following, basically. So yes, that was.
Alright. Maybe we don't have answer, but maybe someone knows that how they found an elevated seat on the bank of the Ganga.
Very simple. You just put mud and let it dry.
But yeah, I see the picture. It's not just a mat. It's Prabhupada approved that picture when Shukadev Goswami is sitting on a really nicely made, beautifully, carpenter made cushion, red covering. How they found that?
Oh.
How they,
Well, I'm not sure if that's the one they had. Even though Prabhupada approved it. Prabhupada approved it for, publicity, because naturally you want to have the best seat for the most exalted personality, Shukadeva Goswami. I mean, um, I'm sure they had time to make one, possibly also because they had all kinds of qualified people, and they knew it's going to be 7 days, and probably different people might. That was probably the intent. Different people might be speaking, but then the whole discussion came to an end actually when maybe they didn't even have so much of discussion. When Shukadeva Goswami made his appearance, it was already decided, so to speak. I mean, everyone understood that he's a person who can. But I think at one point it mentions that there were different. Prabhupada mentioned it's natural that amongst sadhus there are different opinions or different ways. Just like we speak about different forms of yoga. Bhagavad Gita speaks about karma yoga, jnana yoga, etc. But it became obvious immediately when Shukadeva Goswami appeared that he's the person who should speak, and of course, because uh, because he was Shukadeva Goswami or is Shukadeva Goswami, then he spoke for the whole 7 days and continuous 7 days and 7 nights. The whole exchange was there. Yeah.
that was also the question of Naimisharanya sages that the Vedas is describe so many processes, but we are confused. Which one is the best? Or if
Yes.
we don't follow that one, we miss that one. So that's a good question. And it's a very good question for devotees also, which say, okay, just follow this devotional service. Okay, but I am 10 years sick. I have difficulties with that one and that one. I want a nice family life. So also devotees have difficulties to understand how to, grasp this pure devotional service and solve all the problems.
Yes.
So it's not easy.
Uh, it is not easy, of course, but that's why we need to have a spiritual master. That's why we need to associate with senior Vaishnavas who can help us naturally in taking or making certain decisions. Yeah, even as devotees, even though we are given this great opportunity, this knowledge from highest knowledge, most confidential knowledge, etc. Still, at times, yeah, we it's natural to to approach or to get some some guidance or some yeah.
And just a little practical things when these really great personalities came. I saw that we have difficulties to give them proper seat because these plastic, chairs are really not the best because they are sitting and then we could collapse. So I see we have to consider here also if someone coming, we have to have proper seats for them.
Well, they practically came as atiti.
Yeah, but they will come, we hope, again, again.
So it's like yes, that's uh, that's nice to say. Uh, at the same time, this was not. Uh, it's a difference when you have just like tomorrow. I believe it's tomorrow. I mean, whenever we have big festivals and we have a stage, and when we invite personalities, then we have a whole arrangement for sitting. Um, and generally, people, when they take prasadam, generally people sit on the floor, you know, and I've not seen special. I mean, for speaking or for when there's a special program, I fully agree with you that there should be special chairs and arrangement for taking prasadam, especially when it's like a little bit at the last minute.
I saw early days there was a little wood tables, very low tables,
Yep.
and for a elderly guest, or everyone was put like little table for them to have more.
Yeah, but
comfortable.
nowadays, with most, not most, with all of the senior disciples being elderly, many of them cannot sit on the ground actually.
Yeah,
Many have
that's also
difficulties, and therefore they prefer. They prefer means,
yeah table.
yeah, right. Although it's not actually the Vedic way. But I remember especially um, your Guru Maharaj, Srila, uh, yeah, Bhakti Sarup Damodar Maharaj. He would come with a whole team. I mean, I saw it with my own eyes, and I'm sure you've seen it also because you've been to Manipur. Uh, and they have a whole system actually because very advanced culture in Manipur, and Bhakti Sarup Damodar Maharaj came from that kind of background. Those who were serving, I mean, they had all kinds of very elaborate arrangement, and those who were serving were wearing actually cloth and covered head and whatnot. Um, so there was a whole very meticulous way of actually serving, and as you mentioned, nice sitting arrangement was there, small elevated table, just like in the first, I think it's what do they call it, the main kitchen. I mean, with gulab, yeah. So it's elevated, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that was the very first kitchen we had here. I remember eating there many years ago, and yeah. Uh, so yes, uh, we should be as conscious as possible in receiving exalted personalities, and there are um, etiquette or particular ways and systems. We definitely can and need to improve in how. I mean, this was the very first time we were receiving so many. Uh, I mean, it all happened like within 24 hours, kind of thing. Even in the last 1 hour, some additional. We're all happy to receive all of them, but yeah, we'll put you on that committee. Uh, how to how to receive, I guess. Yeah.
You are mentioning that Bhagavatam was mentioning that different sadhu have different ideas.
Yes.
So can we say that it is, if we accept that in our ISKCON society, we can say that different leaders can have different ideas how to apply Krishna consciousness. Can we say like that?
Yes, the idea is that there are many different ways of preaching. There are many different services. In the early days, because our devotees were very young in terms of their understanding of Krishna consciousness, we spoke about that the other day, how, if you were not involved in doing book distribution, you were labeled as being in Maya, until, Prabhupada had to intervene and explain that, well, all activities are bona fide and it depends on the consciousness in which you perform those activities. So just like we can specifically refer to what Prabhupada himself delineated, what Prabhupada himself identified as being different, very, very specific and very important activities for spreading Krishna consciousness. These 4 phases, these 4 movements that Prabhupada speaks about, book distribution and Harinam. Some devotees have been distributing books the whole life, and that's their life and soul, and they don't see themselves doing anything else. They're fully happy, fully satisfied, and it's a fully bona fide activity. Then others like Aindra, don't speak to him about anything else except chanting, the holy name. I mean, he was asked to give a Bhagavatam class one time. I was there in Vrindavan. And then he said, sat on the Vyasasana and he said, can we just chant Hare Krishna? No, it's time to give Bhagavatam class. Some of the senior sannyasis had to tell him, I mean, they know him and they understand also how, it's like Yuga Dharma, right? The Yuga Dharma is to chant Hare Krishna. But when it's time for Bhagavatam class, you have to speak the Bhagavatam. So then he relented and, he read the text and he spoke something on the Bhagavatam. So like this, then the opening temples, like India as a yatra is like famous for, we have hundreds of temples in India. And it's like, once you know how to do something, some of our preachers especially were expert, and all glories to them, His Holiness, um, I mean, some devotees were more, Gopal Krishna. Gopal Krishna Maharaj opened so many temples. That's one of the, you could say, special areas. Your Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Sarup Damodar Maharaj, he was into scientific preaching, Huh? Right. So it's like different because spreading Krishna consciousness, there's so many different areas, so many different ways, and so many different aspects. And as long as the end goal is to please Krishna and to please and satisfy the acharyas and the devotees, then it's all bona fide. So some will be more attracted to some area for different reasons, etc., like that. So, when we take prasadam, variety is is welcome. Yeah, I mean, khichdi is very nice. But generally, when there's a feast, you expect to have more than just khichdi. Although one devotee, I think in England, he was asked, people, ordinary people, they have different, sometimes competition. So there was a competition about preparing who can prepare the best food. It was like a karmi organized type of program. So he decided, let me, be part of that competition. So then he decided, okay, what should I prepare? And then he prepared khichdi. And he won first prize. Yeah. Because he prepared it with ghee and, with love and devotion and whatnot. And people don't know about khichdi. And when they tasted it, that whoever was judging, wow, this is real nice. He got first prize khichdi. One devotee, I forget, many years ago. I mean, khichdi is very satisfying.
First prize, first class.
Yes, first prize, first class.
And also, I think that in India we know these 6 major schools which are present, was present at that time also. So anyone could come to have this, come to this meeting, but they have different approach of the absolute truth.
6 darshans.
And not, and
Right.
not only which was the highest understanding. So
Right.
there are different sages there present.
Right. Yeah, there were different sages. Yes.
Later we see this comment of different acharyas that Shukadev Goswami has difficulties.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.